All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to those who elect. All right, I just want to get right into it. Lord willing, it's an edifying video to the point, because we just had this Christopher Columbus Day pass on October 10th, and I was just doing some research, more research on this devil Christopher Columbus, man. And it got me a little heated, so it got my spirit on fire. I was like, I got to do a video on a few things that I read in this article, because we always got to remember what this devil did to us, man. All right, we can't forget what was done to us. All right, we're never supposed to forget. All right, and you're not in a negative state, like these people in this world say, oh, you got to move on. You're dwelling on the past. No, it's the present day, man. Because the atrocities that were done to us in the past, they're still happening to us to this day. All right, we are still being put in a low condition and in a lower state at the hand of these so-called white people whose biblical nationality is Esau, Edom. All right, majority of you so-called white people go back to a man named Esau, and that's your forefather. And according to the scriptures, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true children of the Most High, all right, who are the true children of God, all right, and then, of course, you have the Israelites that are scattered amongst these other nations, which are known as the Israelite foreigners, all right, but according to the scriptures, the children of Israel, we are going to get our payback, man, and I'm going to get that in the scriptures, but we are going to get payback for what was done to us at the hand of you devils. But I just want to read a few notes from this article before I get the scriptures. It says 8 myths and atrocities about Christopher Columbus and Columbus Day. It says on the second Monday of October each year, Native Americans cringe at the thought of honoring Christopher Columbus, a man who committed atrocities against indigenous people. Right. And that goes to show you how wicked this place America is, that they celebrate a day like this. And you're going to see what I'm talking about as I read more in this article. But this is easy stuff to research, man. So you should ask yourself, why in the world do they put this day as a holiday to celebrate when it's very obvious that this man, Christopher Columbus, was a straight up murderer, man, a sadistic, twisted murderer. So let me keep going. The article's long. I'm just going to hit the points. Right, so we can highlight what this dude did, man. Now, I'm going to scroll down. I was just reading here. First, it says, Christopher Columbus never landed on American soil, not in 1492, not ever. And it shows you the roots right here. It says, we're not talking about the Leif Erikson Viking explorer story. We mean Columbus didn't land on the higher 48 ever. Columbus quite literally landed in what is known as the Bahamas and later Hispaniola, present-day Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Hey, and this was something new that I learned too. And it shows you on the map the different trades route, the routes that he took. All right, the green being the first the blue being the first voyage. All right, over there to the Bahamas and like I said, present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Now, as I scroll down, right, it says, upon arrival, Columbus in his expedition of weapon-laden Spaniards met the Arawaks, Taínos, and Lucayans. Excuse me if I'm saying it wrong. It says, all friendly according to Columbus' writings. Right, because he had writings, man. He had a diary, So let's look at the hypocrisy of this man. It says, as soon as I arrived, and this is his writings, it says, as soon as I arrived in the Indies on the first island which I found, I took some of the natives by force in order that they might learn and might give me information on whatever there is in these parts. All right, I'm going to keep going down. Oops. Hey, it goes to show you that Christopher Columbus, when you look up the term, matter of fact, let me look it up really fast. When you look up the term Indian, all right, which we know that the Indians are what? Slacky, I should have said it before. I was just getting heated reading this, man. But the Indians are what? They go back to the tribe of Gad in the scriptures. The so-called native Indians go back to the tribe of Gad. The Seminole Indians go back to the tribe of Reuben. All right, but when you go to the etymology, if it would load, all right, apparently the internet just want to go out. We know who that is, but it's whatever, man. We know that the term Indian means a savage. All right, they put the term Indian on the tribe of Gad to try to call them savages. But we're going to read about who are the true savages. All right. So let's look at the mindset of this devil. It says they brought us parrots and balls of cotton and spears and many other things. They willingly traded everything they owned. They were well built with good bodies and handsome futures. They did not bear arms and do not know them, for I showed them a sword, and they took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. They have no iron. Their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. All right. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. Goes to show you the mindset of this devil, man. All right. Goes to show you the mindset of this devil. That's why the scriptures say what? All right. Ecclesiastes 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right, got that quick precept because it links up with what's happening right here. Christopher Columbus was a damn deceptive devil, man. Going to appear to them all friendly, take the gifts that they give them. But in his inward parts, in his mind, he was thinking of just subjugating them. So we can never trust thine enemy, man. To this current day, you should never trust your enemy. The so-called white people, all right, majority of these so-called white people being Edomites, these heathens, the American government, these are our enemies, man. 2/3 of our own people. But let me keep reading. It says Columbus' men were rapists and murderers. All right. On Columbus' first trip to the Caribbean, he later returned to Spain and left behind 39 men who went ahead and helped themselves to native women. Upon his return, the men were all dead, with 1,200 more soldiers at his disposal. Rape and pillage became rampant as well as tolerated by Columbus. All right, another point. It says Christopher Columbus enslaved native people for gold. It says because Columbus reported a plethora of natives for slaves, rivers of gold and fertile pastures to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, Columbus was given 17 ships and more than 12,000 men on his next expedition. However, Columbus had to deliver. In the next few years, Columbus was desperate to fulfill those promises. Hundreds of native slaves died on their way back to Spain, and gold was not as bountiful as expected. Makes me think of the transatlantic slave trade, man. How even though Judah, they got it the worst, but all of us, man, we've all still suffered at the hand of this devil. It says Columbus forced the natives to work in gold mines until exhaustion. Those who opposed were beheaded or had their ears cut off. All persons over 14 had to supply at least a thimble of gold dust every 3 months and were given copper necklaces as proof of their compliance. Those who did not fulfill their obligation had their hands cut off, which were tied around their necks while they bled to death. Some 10,000 died handless. In 2 years' time, approximately 250,000 Indians in Haiti were dead. Look at this, man. Columbus provided native slaves to his men, native sex slaves to his men. It says Columbus sold sex slaves to his men, some as young as 9. Columbus and his men also raided villages for sex and sport. I'm just hitting these points before I get the scriptures, man. It says Columbus men used native people as dog food. In the early years of Columbus' conquest, there were butcher shops throughout the Caribbean where Indian bodies were sold as dog food. There was also a practice known as the Monteria Infernal, the infernal chase or manhunt, in which Indians were hunted by war dogs. These dogs, who also wore armor and had been fed human flesh, were a fierce match for the Indians. Live babies were also fed to these war dogs as sport, sometimes in front of horrified parents. All right? Look at this. You see all the atrocities that were done? Hey, I got one more and I'm going to get the scriptures, man, because this links hand in hand with what I'm about to go into in the scriptures. Let me see where it was at.